1460 WVOX.
Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report, with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, my name's Paul Feiner, and I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor. Everybody wants to be successful, but sometimes you don't achieve the successes and that you aspire to. And my guest today is Rachael Gatling, and she is a founder of an organization called Change Your Story. And Rachael is an executive coach and helps people excel and improve their lives. So Rachael, maybe you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Good morning, Paul, and good morning, everyone. My name is Rachael Gatling, as Paul said. I am originally from Virginia, Hampton Roads, Virginia, born and raised, but I came to New York by way of my corporate career 15 years ago. So people say I can stay because I've been here long enough, and I live in the Westchester area, currently in White Plains.
Were you involved with what corporation were you involved with?
Well, previously what moved me here was Avon Products back then. So yeah, came from Avon. I moved first from Virginia to North Carolina, then up to Delaware, and then my dream, which was always New York. It's where everything happens.
That's great. Now you have your own business called basically Change Your Story.
Change Your Story, yes.
And what motivated you to start the business?
Absolutely. So coming from Virginia, in my field, I was always a hard worker, but I was around a lot of people who looked like me, being a Black female. However, when I moved up to New York, in the corporate boardrooms and conference rooms, I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me in terms of being female and also being Black. So at some point, I lost my voice, I lost my confidence, and it took a while for me to realize that I was just fine by being who I was. What got me there, I was enough, and I didn't need to question that. So I needed to change the limiting stories I told myself, but not change myself, and just find out who I was, where I was strong, what gifts was I given, to leverage that and move forward with confidence in my career. And that's where Change Your Story came from.
What type of job did you have at Avon?
I was in sales, then customer service, and then a supply chain leader, which I really took to into supply chain.
And how did you get the promotions and advancements at Avon?
Oh, you know what? I worked hard, but I also picked my head up from the work to do certain things like networking, having crucial conversations with my managers to find out what I needed to do and how to do it to move ahead. I engaged mentors and sponsors and just knew what I needed, found out what I needed to do, and then did that and was able to move around. And something that was obvious, but it's not always done, I asked for the opportunity. And it's not that people just handed it to me, but I asked, what do I need to do and how? And I did it. And a lot of times we think that our work will just speak for us, but you have to also pick your head up and make yourself visible. Ask the crucial questions, get your voice heard. So that's the Change Your Story. Don't let your voice be hidden, but get your voice out there and be strong within yourself and use that to leverage promotional opportunities.
So it seems that one of the problems that many people have is they don't speak out.
Yes.
And they basically don't assert themselves.
Absolutely.
And they might think that their employer understands their concerns, or if they're not happy, and maybe the employer is oblivious.
Right. Absolutely. Employers have their own issues. They're people. So, not all are the same, but we have a job to do ourselves. We can't just sit back and expect people to know how we feel. We can't expect to just get promoted on our just work alone, because some managers may think that you're happy just doing what you're doing. So you do have to pick up your head and, say, this is what my career aspirations are, or maybe I don't know what they are. Can you guide me? Can you tell me what's available to me? And again, like I said, mentors and sponsors are very, very important. Networking is very important. I just did a seminar last week called Networking for Introverts, which was very popular. I'm going to have to do that again by popular demand, because you think that if you're an introvert, you can't be successful. A lot of times you think that, I'm not as assertive or aggressive. I just can't put myself out there like someone who is more assertive can do. But that's not true. There's ways that you can do it. You just have to learn to be yourself.
We have to take a break. My guest is Pauline Gatling, and she. Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say Pauline Gatling? Rachael Gatling. I'm sorry. And Rachael is the founder of Change Your Story, and we're going to learn more about it. What's your website?
ChangeYourStory.today.
And how do people get in touch with you?
They contact me by rgatling, RGATLING, at ChangeYourStory.today, or my office number 914-719-6799.
Great. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break, and we'll talk about how you can improve your life.
1460 WVOX.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and today my special guest is Rachael Gatling, and she has a business called Change Your Story, and it's important for some people to get professional help that could help them do better in their careers. And I learned about Rachael from my co-host, Pauline Mosley, and she basically said that as a result of the coaching help that she got from you, she got promotions and her career, blossomed. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of the clients you've had and how you've been able to help them.
Absolutely. So Dr. Pauline Mosley is a wonderful woman, and I'm so glad to be sitting here today because of her. And she wrote something as a testimonial for me. She said, there are people who can help you, and they do, but very few people have the ability to help you help yourself. That's how I take the approach, because something that I like to say with Change Your Story, I help you identify, appreciate, and leverage your strengths. A lot of us look at what we don't have, and we don't recognize and leverage what we do. With so many people in the world, we need to know that there's a place for us and our individual strengths. We are given a mission, and we need to leverage our strengths to do that. We don't need to look at other people. We can admire other people, but we don't need to look at them and say, I need to be like them, or I need to be more like someone who I am not. So as a result of what I do is I teach you those strengths, help you to identify them, and then you leverage them to be successful. So when you do that, I've helped people to achieve promotional opportunities, new jobs, new careers, and I also work probably now more with entrepreneurs than corporate, although I started the corporate route, because it's the same. You need to find out who you are so you can be successful and have that confidence to move forward. So when you say who I've helped, absolutely, it's been different opportunities, but more than that, it's that sense of confidence in who you are. You're a great analyst, you're a great speaker, you're a great coach, and you go forward with those things knowing that that's what you're supposed to be doing.
So, not like you said, everybody's sort of different. So some people may have a type A personality,
Absolutely.
and that could sort of help them move up. But there may be other people who are very shy,
Yes.
and they don't have confidence.
Right.
They may be insecure. How do you help that type of person?
Sure. So being shy is one thing, but being insecure with your skills is something else, and that's something that you need to overcome. But go back to what I was talking about with networking for introverts. I've had clients who said, Rachael, I'm an introvert and I cannot be successful because there are too many people that are over speaking me in the workplace. And I can't get my voice heard. Well, you can. You just need to use the strength of being an introvert. Introverts mean that you basically gain your energy by introspection, that you need that thinking time, that you need to be a little more prepared because you can't just speak off the cuff, or you don't feel comfortable speaking off the cuff. When that happens, especially now in the world of Zoom meetings, use that emoticon, which is the hand raised, or raise your hand on the first get on the camera, raise your hand, be ultra prepared with your paperwork. If you need to know the agenda for the meeting, talk to your manager beforehand, even volunteer. Hey, I know you don't always have the time, but I would like to put the agenda together so that I know what's coming up and I can prepare myself. Talk to your manager offline, because you may not like crowds, but you can talk to your manager offline to say, how do I leverage my skills to be successful in your department? Because you're individualizing yourself and setting yourself up for success. You should still network, but you don't have to talk to 10 people in the room. Talk to 2 people. Come up to them, and instead of saying, hi, my name is Rachel, this is my value proposition, this is what I'm looking for, because that's not going to be comfortable for an introvert. Say, hi, Paul, my name is Rachel. What do you do? Let me let you do it first. And then find my friends or colleagues or someone supportive that can be that person that will introduce you to the room, you know, and help you with that. So there are ways that even if you're shy and more introverted, that you can be successful. But what you will need to do is have that confidence in what you have to offer. Maybe you're not the loudest person in the room, but what can you do very well? Leverage that.
What if somebody works in a business environment and they just get the feeling that their employer, the bosses, don't like them? I mean, does that happen?
It always happens. We have these things in our mind. They may or may not be true. Ask yourself, do I know that it's true? And that's when you have that meeting. Don't be scared of that one-on-one. Put it on the boss's calendar. They would appreciate that. These days we are so busy. There's so much going on. It was already busy. COVID changed the game. If you were just okay, then you kind of got exposed with COVID, with businesses that really did struggle. And if you were already struggling, some of you didn't survive. So managers have a lot of people they need to pay attention to, and they pay attention to their careers. We don't always know how to behave ourselves as managers. So schedule that one-on-one, and don't go from feelings. Say, I just want to know how I can be successful. Is there a better way to communicate with you? Is there advice that you have about my performance that I need to know in order to move ahead, be successful? At least start the conversation.
So do you think that you could win over somebody who doesn't like you?
Well, it depends on the reason.
Yeah.
It depends on the reason. If for some reason your performance was substandard because you weren't understanding and connecting the dots, maybe that manager didn't know how to talk to you. I'm not saying that they're correct in that, but you starting the conversation can win someone over. Now, if there's something that is not management behavior, like say it's personal or some bias, maybe you can't, but at least you know that, and then you can decide to move on.
And if you make a mistake in a business, you're working for somebody, you say, I'm sorry, I've learned from this, it's not going to happen again. How do you deal with that type of situation?
First of all, if you assert yourself, you're always going to make a mistake. We're never perfect. We're never meant to be perfect, and hopefully that's freeing. But if you do, just say, this was my intention. Intention means a lot because only you knew your intention. Other people know you by your results. So say, my intention was to do this. Like you said, this is what I've gained from that. And you can even engage that manager to say, what can I do in the next time to take this into consideration in my next move?
That is great. When you are dealing with clients, how many sessions do you usually see them for?
Depends. So some clients just need a couple of sessions to brush up on certain skills. But I would say the average is probably 6 months because it takes some time to really know who you are and understand it, and to say, I want to appreciate what I have to offer, that I didn't need to be like someone else. I didn't need to be like someone I admired. And the reason it also can take some time is because we don't study ourselves. I always say, study yourself, learn what makes you tick. We know so much about these movie stars and sports stars and all those things, but how much do we really know about ourselves?
We have to take another break. My guest is Rachael Gatling, executive coach, Change Your Story, and the contact information?
Gatling, RGATLING, at changeyourstory.today or 914-719-6799.
That is great, and we'll learn how you could improve your lives through executive coaching. Sometimes a little help, a little advice, you could really change your life for the better. Absolutely. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and my guest has been Rachael Gatling, and she is founder of Change Your Story. It's a professional development coaching, and is coaching for everyone?
That's a really good question. I think it can be yes. There always come times in our lives, even if we are strong, coaching is not just to get better. We should always seek to evolve. So let me say it that way. We should always seek to evolve, make sure we're still relevant. So I don't think it's a bad thing for everyone to just do a check-in every so often through coaching.
And in terms of how somebody gets to know themselves, I guess one of the mistakes is that people may think differently about themselves than what other people think of them.
Absolutely. So I think the biggest mistake is not believing that you can be successful by being yourself. I think that is the biggest mistake that I see. And what I would say is study yourself. Like I was saying earlier, we know so much more about people we admire, but do we really admire ourselves? Because why don't we seek to know more about ourselves? I was reading something the other day that said, as soon as most people walk into their home, they turn on the television because they can't stand that quiet. They need some type of noise. Well, that television is distracting, so it stops you from really getting close to your thoughts. So I say study yourself. You can do this in quite a few ways. One is to be quiet and think about what's going on in your head. Journal that. Journaling is important. Putting it on paper is really, really important. There's so many studies about that. Ask yourself questions. Did you have a good day? Why? What made it a good day? What made it a bad day? What made it a difficult day? How did you struggle? Like you said, when you're in the workplace, you mess up. How did you feel about that? Did you forgive yourself for messing up? Because understanding you will never be perfect. We aren't supposed to be. And I always ask my clients first, what skills are you most proud of? What traits are you most proud of? And what would people say about you? And if you don't know, ask that trusted person. And then I talk about the accomplishments that people are most proud of. And they usually ask me, is it personal? Is it professional? Is anything? What are you most proud of? Because then you start getting to know yourself and you also get clues into what field you should go into. I love personality tests. Some are different than others, but DISC, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, one of my favorites. It's important because a lot of science is built into getting you to learn how to appreciate what you have to offer, those strengths. You shouldn't focus so much on the weaknesses unless they're really getting in your way. For example, if you're late all the time, you may need to correct that because I wouldn't be here today if I was late. But understanding who you are and saying that maybe I'm not the loudest person in the room, but when you need a solution that is backed by data, I am the one that you call on. I'm the most organized one, all those different things.
So if somebody's late to work every day, maybe they should be getting another job that everyone could start later.
Well, but they may be late to that job too. So it depends. So if you're late, habitually late, you need to fix that. That's going to come in, that's getting in the way of you and your success. If you're, say, always late with your payments, that's going to get into the way of your success. You don't need to become an accountant or financial guru, but you do need to have certain skills. And maybe that's what you hire the coach for. Tell me why I'm late all the time. I can't get it together. Or give me those financial skills that I need to at least pay my bills on time. Those things you may need. Procrastination. Okay, those things you fix, but that inherent personality. And a lot of times we do those things, especially procrastination, because maybe there's something that's calling us and we're denying that skill set.
Right. Do people, is it better to think positive, or what happens if somebody's a negative person who always sees fault in everything?
That's not good. And I always say, and this, I really spoke this a lot and wrote about it last year. It's such a trick to look at what we don't have, what we're missing versus what we have. And it keeps you down. because you can't appreciate yourself and you're always thinking that something's better or there's something that's fleeting and you're looking for. What about what you have already inside of you? You were made that way for a reason.
So if somebody is saying, "Oh, I had a bad day," and then the next day they say, "Oh, I had a bad day," they have to start thinking what's good about their life rather than what's bad about their life. And I guess if they start thinking positive, that will create like a positive feeling that other people will have about them.
It will, but I would say go deeper. You had a bad day. What made it a bad day? And you know what so I created a planner. It's called the Year of You planner. And I'm in the process of making it more electronic because people don't use those books like they used to. That's what I found. So maybe they do. And I like the paper planner myself. But I ask you at the end of the day to write down 3 things that you're most appreciative of. And I never ask what you're not appreciative of or what didn't go well. I say what did go well. Because if you say what didn't go well, you could write down 10 things that did go well, but you'll only focus on the one to say, I want to fix that. No, when you say you had a bad day, what made it the bad day? Was there anything that went well today? Because some people say, I hate Mondays. Well, why do you hate Mondays? Okay, it's my job. But what about your job? And maybe you're in the wrong job, or maybe it's just the unknown of coming into a job. Isolate that because it leaves clues to what you should be doing.
If somebody is not happy in their job, are they better off staying and looking while they have the job? Or if they are like totally miserable, are they better off quitting and then starting from scratch?
I'd say identify why. Why aren't you happy? Are you not using your skill set? Are you in a hostile environment? Because that's the difference. If there's a certain skill set that you need or that you don't have, then go for that. Have that conversation with your manager to say, maybe let's go back to the data analytics. I am not very good at running this data, but I'm interested. I just feel so insecure every day. So can I learn? Maybe they will sponsor a course for you. Maybe they have an internal learning. Maybe they will let you partner with someone and learn. But if you say, I just don't like doing this, then maybe there's another opportunity in the company that you can embrace and do something different. But if it is a hostile environment, then maybe because that does make you down and make you say, I'm just really having a bad day every day and it's not fair and you may need to leave.
I just thought of another question. There's some people who they're always finding fault with their bosses.
Mm-hmm.
If they complain to somebody higher up, is that a negative? Because will they be typecast as being a chronic complainer?
Great question. So if you're having a problem with your boss, again, identify why. So in supply chain, we have this concept, actually it's in Lean, where you ask 5 times why, like, why did this happen? Well, why this? Why? You connect it. And it makes me think about children when they say, why? Why are you having a hard time with your boss? Again, let's go back to the previous example. Are they creating a hostile environment? Are there things going on that are illegal that you should not be a part of, unethical? Then that's a little different, and you may need to do that. And are you a chronic complainer? Not really, because you're really looking out for yourself. But if it's just something where you don't feel like they're listening to you, or you're not getting the attention, or you're not getting recognition, that's when you have that. Have you ever had that conversation, that one-on-one with your boss? Are you waiting for them to come to you versus you come to them? Give it a chance, because you don't know until you know.
That is, that is great. I'm sort of wondering, the biggest mistakes that people make, your clients, like, I guess there's probably patterns and everybody makes similar mistakes.
Yes, they do not feel that they can be successful being themselves. They feel like there's something else that they need. And you know what? To be honest, a lot of times with my clients, they've been through hard times. There's something that happened that's bringing them down, and that makes them feel they lose their confidence. They don't feel they're worthy. So that is the biggest thing. And that's why I tell you, don't change you. Change that story because you're thinking, I can't be successful. You can.
We have to take another break. And my guest is Rachael Gatling, and your website?
ChangeYourStory.today. ChangeYourStory.today. 914-719-6799.
Thank you. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
1460 WVOX.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Paul Feiner, I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and my guest is Rachael Gatling, and she has an executive coaching business, Change Your Story. It's professional development coaching, and many people who are struggling or lost in their careers may need a little boost and a little encouragement and reassurance. And I'm sort of also wondering, I thought of this during the break, there's different age groups. So there's people who may need coaching when they're in their 20s, and there may be different type of coachings when they're in their 40s, and there may be different coaching services for somebody who's older and nearing retirement, because people sometimes when they're older, they're victims of age discrimination. How do you deal with somebody who's older? And, how could if they're not ready to retire, but, they get the hint that, everybody wants to have a retirement party for them. Mm-hmm. How do they overcome that?
Yes, so I feel...
Is that a problem?
It is a problem. So I feel like it's the same thing, though. It is recognizing who you are and what you have to offer, leveraging your strengths. And a lot of times when you're in that workplace and you are looking at everyone and the skills that they have, you think that, hey, maybe it is time. Maybe you don't have what it takes anymore. But then you need to take that step back and think, but what do I have to offer? What skills do I offer? What do I bring to the table? What do people get when they get me? Go back to defining that personal brand. And once you do that, then you can determine there is a place for me, or maybe I need to still reskill or upskill, because you're not at any age. You need to continually evolve, because that's how the world is doing. So you don't need to think about that you can't do this anymore. You think about what you can do and then move forward.
Right. And sometimes I guess with your coaching, you tell people to take, say, courses. So let's say somebody is older, but they don't know much about computers. Mm-hmm. That's a negative. So if they would become more technology savvy, that could help them continue their career.
If that's what they want to do, if that is the career that they are seeking, then they will need to. And it has nothing to do with age. It's just that they're not skilled at this point. The world is moving so fast. By the time that we think that we're caught up, or whatever that means, say you get out of school, something has evolved, something has changed, and it moves so fast that we all need to make sure that we upskill and reskill every so often.
And I guess, one of the lessons is that everybody has value, and people who are employers, they're interested in themselves and their business. And the thing is, if they feel that you could provide value, mm-hmm. and you could convey that you could help them, it's real. You have to think it's about them, not about me.
Right. And don't compete with others. Compete with yourself. I always say strengthen your strengths. And I'm still on the same page as you are, even though it sounds a little different. If you're great at something, go back to this data, keep learning that. That is what you should do. And don't rest on it. Strengthen your strengths. Keep doing that. And that way you evaluate the company. You go to the company and say, this is what I've observed as a need. This is what I can provide. And this is how I'm continuing my education and my experience and my strengths, so that I can support and make this a powerful, relevant, and successful organization.
I've met some constituents who have been out of work for a while, mm-hmm. and if they're out of work and they have like a horrible resume, they can't hold jobs, they what could they do? How could they benefit from coaching?
Well, you said it too. If their resume is out of date, first of all, they need to have that. They've been out of work, so they probably feel a little out of touch. And there's skills that you need to be successful in general. So that networking, like we said, on your terms, you have to have that updated professional profile. You have to have communication skills. You don't have to be the professional, but you have to have those skills to convey what you have to offer to be able to have that conversation. You leverage your strengths along with those particular things, then you will be successful. So that coach will come in, evaluate what you have to offer, tell you like these are your strengths, make sure you leverage them, and you probably know them. It's just that it's rusty because you haven't done it in a while. And evaluate. Let me see your LinkedIn. Let me see your resume. Let's do a mock interview, and if needed, let's brush up on those skills, and that makes that total package.
So if somebody is, considers themselves sort of like a loser, and they basically have never, their resume is like really bad, maybe they should even do some volunteer work just to build up their resume.
If you know the area where you want to be successful, then yes, you can volunteer if you'd like, but there can also be a place you don't know yet until you get evaluated. And that's why a coach can be important, because they can evaluate, like, what are you thinking? What area are you thinking that you'd be interested in? And then let's talk about that, because just volunteering is important. It can give you the experience, and there's something called transferable skills. Maybe you don't have them directly, but you do that in another capacity so that you can be, it can be relevant for the field that you're thinking about or want to go into or you're interested in. So you can do that as well. But yeah, don't just write off that you're not relevant in the workplace because you haven't worked for some time and that your confidence is low. That's when you need to go get help and services by, say, a coach. Also talk to people and get your network strong. People who are supportive of you and they give you that boost. Don't hang around the naysayers or people who are doing like you and just not confident, but hang around those people. Say that, Rachel, you know what? You still have what it takes. Rachel, I know this about you. They can point out where you're strong, where you may not even be able to see it. And so, yeah, get that network right. Hire the right professional to help you and build up those skills. And you know what? Also look at what you have versus what you don't have.
Great. Your business also sponsors various events.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I have my own events. Some of them are virtual. Some are not. Well, they were especially virtual when we had COVID. I did a lot of goal setting. I did things like leadership skills as well. My own virtual. I also offer in person. Please go to my website, changeyourstory.today. I do a lot of speaking engagements as well. And I'm basically committed to doing something every month this year. And I also take suggestions. For example, there was a big response when I talk about introverts. So 2 weeks ago, I did a seminar on networking for introverts, but I'm kind of committed to that because I'm listening to what my clients and those who are interested are telling me. So I'll be doing more events for introverts. So go to changeyourstory.today, click events, and you'll see them coming.
That is, that is great. So the important thing that I learned is people have to get to know themselves.
Yes.
And that's really one of the key goals of everybody, really.
Know and appreciate, because a lot of times you say you know these things and then I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. No, know what your strengths and appreciate them. That way you can leverage them.
And it's also important to be resilient.
Absolutely.
And to be able to pick yourself up after you've had setbacks.
Yes. Well, they say the only constant is change. It's true. And we need to be able to react in a good way to that. But if we can't, because that's a reality. Some people say, I don't like change. That's when you need to implore your network or a coach or whatever that is, something positive, so you can call them and say, listen, this is happening and I don't know how to handle it. Be receptive and get help with that.
Are most of your coaching sessions one-on-one, or do you have group coaching?
I have group coaching, not as much. Most are one-on-one because people have specific situations that are very sensitive and they want to talk to me and get that selfishly in a good way. They want to get that personal help. So I do some group, but not as many.
Great. We only have a few seconds left, so
Sure.
Could you just give us your contact information again?
Absolutely. My website, changeyourstory.today. So changeyourstory.today. My phone number is 914-719-6799.
So this is really great information that you provided today.
Thank you.
And it's really important for people to take action if they are feeling a little down in the dumps. And everybody has their own stories, and everybody has something to offer.
Yes.
And you just have to learn how to create that confidence.
Yes. And remember, change your story. The stories that hold you back. Don't change yourself. change your story.
But don't be like George Santos and just make up stuff about
Yeah,
yourself.
don't make up stuff.
Great. So good. So thank you very much. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about some of your success stories.
Absolutely. And thank you for this opportunity, Paul and Pauline.
Thank you. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.